I was talking with one of my members last week, and Amanda was saying how when she has an exhibition or a commission, she works so much more efficiently and gets so much more done. It kicks Amanda's art making into action. And I'm sure you felt this at some point. I definitely have when I've had shows in the past or when I've had a deadline. I definitely work faster, more efficiently, more focused towards the end of the year because I give myself that deadline of the year ending. I work more efficiently. And so that's what I wanted to explore in today's episode, because when we tap into that efficiency and a purpose and having some kind of deadline, it can really help us move forwards at a faster rate or a more focused rate. It doesn't have to be faster, it's sometimes about focusing. And having that determination as well to get something done, to get your art making done or your website done or whatever it is. That's what I want to talk about in today's episode. Now, earlier this year, I started training for an endurance event. So I was hiking Whistler Mountain 8 times, and the deadline for that was September. So I knew in September, the 22nd, that I would be hiking. So I had a deadline, and I started 9 months in advance of that deadline. And I was a bit naive at the beginning of the year because I thought that I could train for that and I could also write a book and that I could also launch this other program that I've been working on. And I set some very big, ambitious goals at the beginning of the year. And then I got COVID in April and it hit me quite hard, actually. And then I became quite ill, and I realized in that moment as well that I can't do all of these things that I've set out to do. And that's okay. And I decided in that moment to put the book on hold because the hike had a deadline. The book didn't have a deadline. And I was committed. I'd paid for the event. I was committed to doing it. I could see the end in sight. So I had to decide in that moment between the book and the hiking because they were both important, time consuming tasks with deadlines that I needed to give my all to either one or all. I couldn't give my all to both and run United Art Space and be a mum at the same time. So I decided to pause the book, and with that deadline in mind, I powered through. And it was definitely with having that deadline that I committed to doing the training, and especially in the run up to the training and even on the event itself, with having 36 hours to complete the hiking in. That was a big lesson to me as well, in that 16 hours into the event, I felt like I never felt at any point that I thought I would give up. But I remember 16 hours in thinking, oh my gosh, I actually don't know how I'm going to finish this. I know I will, but I don't know how. It's going to be tough. And for me, actually, having some rest helped. I went back out there, but I think it was because I knew I got that deadline. I went back out there and I cannot describe what happened. In any other ordinary situation, this would not have happened. But after 16 hours of hiking nonstop the day before, you would have thought by that point, and this had happened during training when I'd hiked for that amount of time. I'd never done 16 hours, actually. I'd done 12-hour maximum. But after that 12 hours, I couldn't walk. My hips were killing. My feet were sore. I couldn't even put my trainers back on. I was broken. And I remember back then thinking, gosh, if I'm like this after a 12-hour max, I don't even think I got to 12 hours. What am I going to be like doing it over 36 hours? I used to question that all the time. But then on the weekend of the event, after 16 hours, given all the training and what had happened before, really, I should have been in so much pain, not able to go any further. But because I had that deadline and I'd visualized like crazy as well, finishing this event. So I was determined. I had visualized it so much that I had this inner knowing that I was going to get it done. So with that, But it was still an extraordinary feeling to get up the next day after I'd rested. I'd rested for 3 hours, I'd slept, and then I stretched and did lots of moving and had a bath. I then had breakfast and I felt like I'd just woken up and I had not hiked for a week. I felt amazing. Now, that isn't normal in a normal situation. And I got up and I was like, right, we have X amount of hours now. I think it was 12 hours from that point. We've got 12 hours now to do 3 more ascents. And I felt like, right, come on, let's do it. And now I understand what it was. It was adrenaline. And because that was the thing from the event that I was most confused about. I was like, why am I not in pain? Why, after all this training, I should be in agony? Why am I not? And it was adrenaline fueling me through. And I ended up doing, my fastest ascent was number 6, which I just thought would never have been the case. I thought it would have taken me longer and longer and longer. And that was the fastest one, number 6. And it was the adrenaline because of the deadline. I knew I got 12 hours. I was like, this has got to work now. We're really against the clock here. So a friend of mine, Jackie, she twisted her ankle on the first round of the climb. We got 8 to do. Number 1, twisted her ankle. So it was taking Jackie 4 or 5 hours to climb one ascent. So for Jackie, she wasn't fortunate enough to go back and have a bath and have breakfast and relax and have 3 hours sleep like I did. She had to keep going because she was hiking at such a slow pace. So each one was taking 4 to 5 hours and she kept going. She was snacking as she was hiking. And it was, I think she got to number 6 or number 7 and worked out the timing. And it was getting really close to, if I continue at the time that I have been going, I'm not going to finish this. And she said the most extraordinary thing happened as well at number 7, I think it was, where she had 2 ascents left, not many hours left. And she said, I just suddenly, bearing in mind, she hasn't slept. At this point, she had not slept in 30 hours. She'd been hiking nonstop for 30 hours. No substantial meal, snacking. She was starting to feel delirious at some points, and it was 30 hours in that she was like, oh my gosh, I need to do something here. And it was the adrenaline that kicked in. And the adrenaline kicked in because of that deadline. And number 7 for her was her fastest ascent. After 30 hours of no sleep, of walking nonstop, number 7 was her fastest. She got up there fast and she made it. She did the whole event and she did the last one with 20 minutes to go before the deadline. And she was powering through those last 2. Her last 2 ascents were the fastest. Now, on paper to describe what happened there after 30 hours of no food, no sleep, really, this should have been the longest. But adrenaline, it was adrenaline that kicked in for both of us. And it got me really looking into this after the event because I was so confused. That was the thing that baffled me the most. I was like, why did I just suddenly charge up on number 6 in 2 hours? Within 2 hours, I didn't even do that on the first one, and we were going at a really fast pace. I was like, why am I not hurting? Why am I not in pain? And it was really confusing me. And I've looked into it since. And when people have talked to me about when they have a deadline, an arts show or the commission, and there's a deadline, we have this surge, and it's the same thing, and it is adrenaline. And I've looked into it. And so when we are under that pressure, it kicks us into action. Our bodies are designed to respond in those situations and release adrenaline. And that's what we're designed to do as a human. And it's there for a reason. It kicks in so that we can take action and get something finished. And I find that fascinating. And so that's something that I've really been exploring. And that's what I want to cover in Best Year Yet as we go through Best Year Yet. Because when we set ourselves goals and deadlines, we do start to have a purpose. and something to aim towards. We can then start to break things down to think, right, I need to get this done by this date. What do I need right now? Who needs to help me? What do I need to be? Who do I need to be? What do I need to have? So, and then we release adrenaline because we know that's coming. That fuels us to get it done and make it happen. The adrenaline is there to help us. So the more we can kind of release that, and I'm not talking about throwing yourself in the deep end with a really unrealistic deadline that's going to stress you out, because there is a fine line here, I think, and I'm not a scientist or a doctor, I don't know, but I would imagine there is a fine line of, pushing yourself, putting yourself under extreme stress, where then it has a negative effect. And we're not looking for that. We're looking for that in between where, yeah, it's going to feel uncomfortable and we will feel a bit panicky at times, but it's there for a reason. It's there to push us. It's there to give us focus. It's there to get us out of bed in the morning a bit earlier and go, I need to do this. So, and I believe actually in the past where I have not had much time, I've not had much money and support in terms of getting United Art Space off the ground, I think I've had deadlines that I've set myself over the years that I believe now that's what's pushed me. That's what's got me to the next level and then to the next level, because I've always brought in deadlines. And that's what I'll teach you in Best Year Yet. And if you're doing Best Year Yet again, this is what you're going to do again for 2023. We are going to start to decide what we actually want and really factor in that time and give ourselves some deadlines. So for example, for me, the book. Now, I have to laugh here because I announced, I can't remember whether it was, I think it was 2 years ago, I announced I'm going to write a book. And I thought, if I announce it, I'll do it. And then the first year of announcing that, I realized, oh my gosh, one, that I was in my own way, that I had massive blocks around writing a book, that I actually didn't know how to write a book, that it's much harder than I thought, that I know that it's all in my head, but I don't know how to get it out. And so the first 6 months after announcing it, I did a course with Beth Kempton and I did another course about writing a book proposal. So the first 6 months was me getting my head around what do I actually need to do. So although I did set myself a goal and a deadline to get the book completed, I realized now that that was an unrealistic deadline, but it did spur me on to learn. And this is the thing with goals and deadlines. We can use them to boost that adrenaline, to work towards something. If we don't hit it, we move it. There was a great quote I was reading the other day that says, rather than, I can't remember the quote exactly. I wish I had it on the screen with me. It was something around, if you don't achieve something, don't give up. You move the deadline, not the goal, or something like that. it was the premise, or the moral was that if something doesn't happen, we don't then give up. We just extend it. We change the deadline or whatever it is. Don't change the goal or the dream. And so that's what I did for myself with the book. It was a realization that I loved having that deadline in there, but I realized it was an unrealistic deadline because now I understand the process. And it takes 9 months, usually different for everybody, of course, but roughly 9 months to birth a book of the size that I want to write, and getting the agreement from a publisher and things like that. So I understand now. So now I'm more equipped with a deadline. But what I've realized is to get this book finished, I need a deadline. And so I have put in a review with Beth Kempton to have a book proposal review so that I have a deadline. And I'm doing that on purpose because I know if I don't have that in the diary, I'll just keep it going again. And I'm still working on my proposal. I could work on my proposal for the next 10 years. So I need something in. And I know I'm going to put that in. And I'm being realistic because January is Best Year Yet. So I'm not doing anything in January. February is going to be book proposal time. And then I've got a session with Beth. And I'm doing that on purpose because I know I've got to get everything ready for Beth because I've committed. Now, authors, Tolkien and Lewis, the book authors, have been quoted as saying that when they were collaborating with each other, working with each other, supporting each other, they would meet every Monday. And it was Lewis that said he would do most of his writing on a Sunday evening because he had a meeting the next day with his friend and they were going to talk about what they've been writing on and what they've been working on. And it was having that deadline and meeting someone the next day that boosted the adrenaline in Lewis to get his writing done. And so in Best Year Yet, this is what I'll teach you, is how to start to define what it is that you actually want. And then we start to carve in the deadlines and the goals so that you have those moments of adrenaline boosts. And if you don't have an exhibition or a commission and you don't have those things already, it's about putting them in so that you do have something to work towards, so that you do have a purpose, you do have a focus of where this ends and what you're aiming to achieve. You can put these little deadlines in to give you that boost of adrenaline. Use your body, what it's designed to do. So I'm very, very, very excited to work through this during Best Year Yet with you. So the workshops start on the 5th and they run until the 19th of January. You can go and sign up. The link is in the comments. And I'll send you prep immediately so that you can start to reflect on the year just gone. And then we will start to put plans into place to make 2023 our best year yet. And I'm so excited. So enjoy and start to ponder, especially when you do the prep work that I send you, because one of the tasks in there is to buy a year planner, and you can already now begin to think about some deadlines. But we will do this in the workshop, so you don't have to think about it right now. But there you go. So have a little think about how you have worked under pressure in the past. It's about recognizing your pressure points, your levels, because everybody's different. When have you worked best in the past under pressure? Ask yourself that. When have you had a deadline where you thought, my gosh, yeah, I did get loads done when I had that deadline? Really bring those memories to the surface and write them down in your prep worksheet to help you reenact or replicate that kind of situation in the future. And then start to think about how you could incorporate deadlines even if you don't have them. Okay, take care, and I'll see you next week for another dose of Motivational Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.